TV9 की टीम ताइवान के नेवल बेस पर गई, एयरबेस पर गई और हमने देखा कि ताइवान की तैयारी क्या है। आज हमारे साथ ताइवान के विदेश मंत्री डॉक्टर जोसेफ वू मौजूद हैं। उनसे पूछते हैं कि ताइवान किस तरह से चीन को जवाब देने के लिए तैयार है। डॉक्टर जोसेफ वू, सो माय क्वेश्चन इज दैट whether war is inevitable, because we have seen that how the Taiwan is responding and how much China is aggressive, and if it happens, then whether USA will come to you and the war will be nuclear or non-nuclear.
Well, one thing I need to clarify: war is devastation. War is going to be disaster, and war is something that we can do without. And that is the policy of Taiwan. We don't want any war. And the policies coming from Taiwan is that we try to avoid war. For example, our policy toward China is that we want to have dialogues or discussions with China. But if that is impossible, then we need to be able to defend ourselves. And that is what we try to do. Only sufficient amount of defense capabilities can ensure peace and stability in this area. And that is exactly what we are doing. China has ambition to expand its own power. And if you look at the Taiwan Strait, you saw what happened in the last couple of weeks. China continued to do their military exercises across the medium line of the Taiwan Strait, and it's very threatening to Taiwan. And we're trying to be ready for an attack coming from China. But if you look beyond Taiwan, China is in the East China Sea. They try to intrude into some disputed water with Japan, first by sending one or two Coast Guard ships to that region, and later they sent it every day, and they also sent their military ships to the disputed area. And now they started expelling the Japanese fishing boats from that area. So the Chinese ambition over the East China Sea is also very clear. And if you look at South China Sea, the Chinese ambition is even more clear. First, they built some tiny little rocks into major military bases, whether it's Subic Bay, Subic Shore, or Fiery Cross, or Mischiefs. Now they are there, the major military bases China has in the South China Sea. So the Chinese ambition has been prevailing, and that is something that we need to look at seriously. And in addition to that, China's ambition is also shown in the Pacific. Their security agreement with the Solomon Islands is something that we already saw. And the Chinese government is interested in signing security agreements with the rest of the Pacific countries. So that is something that the United States, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, etc. have registered their serious concern. And that is not it. If you look at Indian Ocean, that is where India is located, China has already established a string of pearls. And look at the case of Sri Lanka. China is in control of Hambantota harbor. And that is something that is causing the heartburn of our Indian friends. And it's not it. Look at the harbor in Pakistan, in Bangladesh, in Myanmar, or in Cambodia, all the way to Djibouti. These are the expansion mode of China to set up naval bases in the Indian Ocean. So by looking at this, I think the world, especially among the democracies, need to wake up to the expansionism of authoritarianism. And this is something that we need to look at. And you mentioned about the United States. We do have a very special bond with the United States. Let me read some sentences of the TRA. TRA Section 2, it reads something like this. To make clear that the United States' decision to establish diplomatic relations with the People's Republic of China rests upon the expectation that the future of Taiwan will be determined by peaceful means. To consider any effort to determine the future of Taiwan by other than peaceful means, including by boycott or embargoes, a threat to the peace and security of the Western Pacific area and of great concern to the United States. And also, to maintain the capacity of the United States to resist any resort to force or other forms of coercion that would jeopardize the security or the socio-economic system of the people on Taiwan. So this is basically the law of the United States concerning the situation Taiwan is in. And for the United States, what we are looking for is that the United States will continue to provide Taiwan with defensive weapons. And together with the defensive weapons, there will be training, maintenance, and exchanges of personnel and etc. And that would allow Taiwan to have the capacity to repel any kind of threat coming from China.
So we have seen that how international supports are increasing in your favor. So what is your expectation from India especially? Because what we say in India that the enemy, your enemy is our enemy, so we could be friends.
Indian friends, well, some Indian friends told me in a very frank way, saying that China is our enemy and Taiwan is our friend. And we treasure that. And Taiwanese people regard India as our friend as well. Friend with shared values. And this is very important. And we will continue to develop our relations in trade area, investment, people-to-people exchanges, in education, agriculture, and etc. so that our relations can be closer to each other. And if you look at the education alone, we have about 2,500 Indian students studying here in Taiwan. And among these Indian students, 1,000 of them are in PhD programs. So you can see how close the relations are. And under the circumstances that the two countries have the synergy for each other, we both share the beliefs in freedom and democracy. And I think showing support is something that we will look forward to. And as I read a little bit earlier, let me read it again. They came first for the communists. And I didn't speak up because I wasn't a communist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak up because I wasn't a Jew. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not speak up because I wasn't a trade unionist. Then they came for the Catholics, and I didn't speak up because I was a Protestant. Then they came for me, and by that time, there was no one left to speak up. That is something I would share with our Indian friends. China's threat, China's expansion is everywhere, and therefore it takes all democracies to show support to each other.
Thank you. So ये ताइवान के विदेश मंत्री हैं जिन्होंने साफ तौर पर कहा कि अमेरिका उनकी मदद करेगा, ताइवान चीन का जवाब देने के लिए तैयार है और भारत से भी कहा कि चीन आपका दुश्मन है, हमारा दुश्मन है, हम अच्छे दोस्त हो सकते हैं। कैमरामैन सुनील सिंह के साथ मनीष झा, TV9 भारतवर्ष, ताइपे, ताइवान।